tonight, and the speaker is Kim Walker. She's our animal control officer. There's a lot of misinformation out there on that beautiful thing called Facebook and all over. So we just want to clear some stuff up to the public. So we have the actual animal control officer, and yes, we do have one. And she's here, and she's going to explain what she does, how she does her job, and maybe give us a little information on how you handle loose dogs and how we handle domesticated cats. Okay, thank you, Kim.
Hi.
Hi.
I am Kim Walker. I've been animal control since 2016. At that time in 2016, I was full-time, and then it went to part-time, and now I am per diem as needed on call. The reason being is because we no longer trap in the city of Johnstown, and that is per DEC. So we cannot trap skunks, woodchucks, raccoons, foxes. If we do trap them, we cannot relocate them. We have to dispatch them. So we are not, if you have a wild animal issue, we refer you to call wildlife control. So yes, it's animal control that I do, but it's technically dog control because by law in New York State, every city and town has to have a dog control person, and that is me. So, needless to say, get your dog's license, and in the city of Johnstown, which case is done yearly. It's for a spay or neutered dog, it is $8, and for an unspayed or neutered dog, it is only $16. You do need a rabies certificate. You get that at your local Tractor Supply, your veterinarian. The Public of Health has free clinics as well. So definitely want to get your dog spayed and neutered. I deal with a lot of bite calls. People getting bit by a friend's dog or going into a house or neighbor's dog or a stray dog. I get a lot of calls for that, so I deal a lot with public health. Almost 4 to 5 times a week I'm dealing with public health. So it's very important to get your dogs rabied because that is a New York State law. And if you don't, the dog, either way, the dog has to be quarantined if it bites somebody for 10 days. And then you can get it rabied after that, the rabies. So as far as the cat situation goes, there is really no laws pertaining to cats as far as feral cats go. Unfortunately, this state, this city, Gloversville, and all cities and towns have a feral cat. They're an invasive species. What we can legally do is do a spay and neuter program where the city would have to come up with a resolution to do that. I would have to trap them if they wanted to. It's you have to find a vet. You have to release them in the same exact spot as you trap them. It's not like it's a fix-all because it's not going to happen. Fix the issue of an invasive species. Dogs, you're allowed to have 4 dogs per household. You're allowed to have 4 cats per household. That is it. The feral cat situation is very unfortunate, but we're not the only city, we're not the only town that has that issue. Domesticated cats are supposed to stay on people's property, but there is no leash law when it comes to domesticated cats. You let it outside, it can go next door. There's no way of controlling cats like you can control a dog. You can't tie it up outside. As far as the dog laws go, the dogs have to stay on your property. They cannot wander next door. There is a leash law. They have to be in a fenced-in area or a invisible fence
Right.
or a leash at all times.
So my question is, and I don't know if Dave wants to address this or you do, with the situation with not having a contract to have a place for the dogs to go. Can you explain when we say we don't have a contract, explain why?
For the last 10 years, we've had a contract with the animal shelter where we could bring, 20 dogs?
And cats.
And cats, and they would be under obligation to take them and house them. New York State just recently changed the laws for the kennels and the cages and required them to basically double the size of the holding cages that the shelters had. Because of that, now the law was supposed to take effect December of this year. They started last year enforcing it, which I don't understand how, but because of that, no shelter will give a contract with our city, Loversville.
And we're not the only
The
ones.
county, it's struggling. So right now, if we take in an animal, we've had to pay other shelters $200 to have that animal sheltered at their thing, and it's a hit or miss, whether it's in Montgomery County, Herkimer County, so it becomes costly when we start doing it. So generally speaking, if we come across an animal, we are holding them temporarily. Usually if people get out of work, they'll notice their dog's missing, they contact us, and if we can get the dog back to its owner, have them fix the issue, whether it was a hole in the fence or the animal broke the leash or something, is usually the problem once they fix that. But we have had, a couple of instances where we've had, whether, again, if they're endangered animals or somebody, they're always claiming they're malnutrition, they're this or that. Sometimes there are circumstances, and we spent over $1,000 on one case to where we could prove it was a cancer diagnosis that caused the dog to look like it was being abused when it really wasn't. It was confirmed by not one vet, but 3. So, it's one of the things that everybody thinks they know what's going on because they hear rumors and innuendo, but they don't know what actually is transpiring, and nobody bothers to check and find that out. So, that's why we basically don't police by Facebook or anything. So, if there is a complaint, we'll look into it. If it's a case where they're, actually abused animals, we'll handle that situation, and we have done it before. We've charged them, or we can get court orders to seize the animals to make sure they get the proper health care that's needed. But, again, that's where the situation lies. We aren't under any obligation as the public thinks to discuss what is wrong with some other person's animal. So I don't know where that came from, where everybody thinks that's somehow, if you call the police, that we have to release all the information is not a true story.
Right.
So, some people were afraid that, they were basically hounded. One family was actually hounded by people just showing up at the door for a situation they didn't know what occurred.
Right.
And, there were a couple times where we thought trespass charges may come about for the people that were doing it, because you have no right to go on somebody else's property and just think you can walk through all their property to see whether an animal's abused or not. That's not the way it works.
Can I ask you a question? So a call comes in on a loose dog. How do we handle that call?
The officers on duty will respond if they can get the dog to basically jump in the police car or get them to where they can put a leash on them or something. They'll bring them back here. They contact the animal control officer to let them know we have an animal.
Now, would Kim show up if we had an animal held here? If the police picked the dog up, would we have Kim come in and do an observation of the dog or anything like
No,
that?
not at that point, unless
No.
the officers feel that the dog's malnourished or possibly abused. We just basically house it. We give it a couple hours, but she already knows that, if by like the next morning we can't locate an owner, then we'll have to step up our search to either find out. Generally, the sergeants will put it on our Johnstown Facebook page,
Right,
and they get more responses for an animal we find than we have on a missing person case that we have.
yeah.
And so, and generally speaking, that chain usually gets the animal back to its owner.
Right.
You know, again, if it's something where there is maybe an issue where they can't control the dog or something else, then we have animal control follow up
Right,
with the owner to see if it's something,
right,
you know, where we can aid them in some way, shape or form,
Right.
or, you know, if they need to bring the dog to a shelter or see if somebody else will, take
Right.
ownership of the animal because it's above what they're able.
Right.
Because a lot of people start out, they can handle the animals and then all of a sudden they can't.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
You'd rather see that than just, and the same thing with the feral cats. The feral cat problem in this city, I can tell you right now, is basically people move out of an apartment where they could have animals, they no longer can have animals, and they just leave the cats to run in that neighborhood, and move away, whether it's to another part of our city or Gloversville or out in town, because the place that they're now renting doesn't allow animals. And we've seen that time and time again.
Right.
So, you know, that's, again, people are concerned about it, well, you should talk to people into, listen, if they're gonna move and they can't keep the animal, you know, post something to where maybe somebody that is looking for a cat would want, you know,
right,
at least adopt a cat
Right.
or do something, so.
And also, the landlords should really think about when they're renting the apartment or house, whether or not they're gonna allow animals, because a lot of landlords, they'll wanna kick somebody out, and they kick them out, and they leave the animal behind, and then they call us and say, well, you gotta come get this. Well, this is your fault to begin with.
right,
You should have thought of that when you originally agreed to rent that place out,
right,
you know?
Yeah.
We're not a fix-all.
right,
That's for sure. And the New York State has made it even harder to try and fix it
right,
because of the regulations are ridiculous.
right. And that's one of the main things are the regulations that they're placing on, you know, cities as far as, you know, with the contracts. I mean,
Well,
that-
I know that the Humane Society dropped three more towns or cities that they just had.
Yeah.
They just dropped them.
so it's not a problem that's unique to us.
No.
It's a problem, you know, in New York State. Did you have a question, Max?
Just about like if a dog is picked up on a weekend,
Mhm.
are you still available?
I'm available 24/7. I've been down here at 1:00 in the morning trying to catch a dog that attacked its own owner and got loose, tore his owner up. And I was there at 1:30 in the morning
Because I
until
feel
like 4
I've
in the
seen,
morning.
yeah, I've seen some of the misinformation man online.
There's a lot of misinformation.
Animal control is not available on the weekends. You know, so
I
just
am
wanted to clear it out as
available
well.
24/7. If anybody ever calls the Johnstown PD and they send it to me or they transfer the call, or if they call me personally, if I don't answer, I call them right back. Every single time.
Yes, Kim's very
Nobody
responsive.
can say that I do not call them. Yes, I also work. It may be 5-10 minutes, but I will get right back to them. And I come down all hours of the night, morning. It doesn't matter. They need me, I'm here. It's very, very misconstrued information.
Are we getting anywhere with New York State with these, you know,
Every politician I've spoken to on the state level said, I don't know what you want us to do with it. I said, well, you're making laws to prevent animal cruelty, and you're creating more animal cruelty by
right,
not allowing them, at least when they're in the shelter, they're being taken care of
Absolutely.
in warmth, in water, food,
right,
and now you have nothing. So people are just, if I want to bring as a citizen, we've had one that they basically own the dog. They're trying to say it was a stray. We knew they owned the dog. It's their responsibility to take the dog to the shelter. The shelter turned it away. They just ended up driving outside the city limits, released the dog, and the dog ended up coming back into the city. So
yeah,
they're not solving the issue. They're creating more of an
Right.
issue. And, you know, like I said, I get it if it's the bigger cities, but you can't tell me in New York City that all those cages are over 18 feet or.
We can only house a dog for 5 days, starting the 26th.
who is we? When you say we, who do you mean?
City.
The city of
The city,
Johnstown, we
okay.
have 5 days.
5 days,
After that 5th day, there's a few things that can happen. One, you send it to a rescue. you try to find a shelter, which we have. We've been very fortunate that I've got ties outside the city and beg and plead them to take them. Shelters are overrun. They can't, they're packed.
Right.
And take them there or
Euthanization,
euthanization.
that's it.
Yeah.
And we don't wanna be euthanizing somebody's dog that was
No.
away on vacation for 5 days, come
No.
back on 6th day
Yeah.
and say, where's my dog?
Yeah. It's a real serious issue.
It
You
is a
know,
very
that-
serious issue.
I think that the state needs to take more time to address, but I know we do everything we can. And like I said, you work 24/7 if you need to, but we
24/7.
also have really great police officers that step up to the plate and they also do that.
Absolutely.
And the other interesting thing is even to trap like a wild, like a skunk or a woodchuck, you have to release it on the same property you trap it on.
Yes.
So it's like, to
You
me,
cannot take it to near state park.
or the,
Or
just
you
the
cannot
country. and
relocate them
release it.
because you're spreading that species to that location. So if you trap 150 skunk
Right,
and take them to the Adirondacks,
right,
150 skunks into the Adirondacks, you're invading that area.
that area. So, there's a lot of conversation that needs to be happening with our representatives and when it comes to this, because it's a real issue. But how many dogs would you say this city has trapped,
Traps,
or not trapped, have not rescued, but that were loose and we picked up this year?
to be truthfully honest with you, there's not an overabundance. I think we took probably 5-6 a year.
Yeah,
To
I
the
think the most we've
shelter.
ever had is
We
that.
most of the time, almost all the time, the owners would come and get them. It's not that that's an issue. The issue is if somebody's not feeding their dog and we take it in for that reason,
Right,
then obviously we're not giving it back.
right,
But as far as a loose dog, I would say 95% of the people come up,
Yeah.
wouldn't you? Yeah.
Do we have money in our budget for spay and neutering?
We do, the problem with that is, when you start talking spade and neutering, you also have to have a facility where those animals can recoup before you release them back out in
Correct.
the same spot you trapped them.
Right,
And that we cannot find because
Oh.
the shelter can't take them.
Sure.
We'd have to hire somebody else to just
Right.
basically be a caretaker.
so it's creating a whole nother
4 or 5
problem.
days until they can be released back.
Yeah.
in,
Yeah, interesting.
Kim, how does, if the public had more questions and they want to talk to you directly, how do they do so?
Not through Facebook.
Yeah.
Because I'm not even on Facebook that much. And it's a poor way to communicate. They're more than welcome to call me at any time. I had a half-hour conversation on the phone with a gentleman this week who called and wanted me to answer questions. And he understood it when I got finished explaining it. Call the police department, they will transfer you to my phone. That's the easiest way, then I don't have crazy people having my cell phone number. But that's the easiest way. And I'm more than willing, like I said, if I don't call you back, I will get back to you, I promise that. I don't think I've ever not gotten back to anybody.
Sure, you have other
But
responsibilities.
Facebook is not the way to go.
Yeah.
Everybody, let's be adults and talk it out.
Communication.
Yes, absolutely.
Anything else, anyone?
I think it's great.
Kim, thank you very
You're
much. It was very
welcome. Thank
informative.
you.
I
And
appreciate
please
it.
get your dogs licensed.
Yes,
I do not like issuing tickets.
yes.
Big pain in the butt.
I agree.
But I
agree.
will, so
No, I agree.
let's get them licensed.
Licensed your dogs.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.